Hey,
What up? What up? What up?
thank you for tuning in to From Lost to Legacy. I am Aliyah the Alchemist.
And I'm Sensei Don Juan.
All right, and so today is episode 4. We are recording from a different location. We are aboard the Carnival Breeze for our Thanksgiving break, and we did a lot of reflecting during this trip, trying to kind of, get that rest and relaxation that we so desired.
The R's.
Yeah, all of the R's: rest, relaxation, rejuvenation, realignment, all of the reads, wanting to also take time to reflect on some of the things that we have been experiencing really recently.
Mm-hmm.
There was a bit of a gap in between our episode 3 and this episode 4. We have had a lot of conversations,
And a
um,
lot of practices and
tests,
games.
yeah, gains and practices, but
Mm-hmm.
definitely tests along the way, to test our capacity and test our consistency and steadfastness of getting this up and running, being consistent and not allowing outside forces to come in and
Derail.
yeah, derail what our plans are. And so, one of the things that we discussed just yesterday was letting go, and how it is so important that he and I let go of some of the things that we know are triggers for one another, that we also let go of old habits that are no longer serving us, how we
Mm-hmm.
identify with those,
Triggers.
yeah, what those triggers are, things that no longer serve us. How do we actually remove those from our lives so that we can go on to have a healthier relationship together, and also just a relationship with yourself, just being able to really tap into what your needs are, what your boundaries are, and still,
Be yourself.
yeah, yeah,
Maintain your identity.
correct,
Mm.
yeah. All right,
So
so today's
let's
episode
get
is
it.
entitled, letting go. All right, and so Sensei, I will pass it to you. We're enjoying our cortados. Much
Cortadas.
bigger cortadas, yeah, much bigger than what I would normally get from Starbucks. But Carnival does it different.
Mm-hmm.
How did you want to go into? I mean, I guess I'll just say, if we go based on,
Well, you got to ask the question.
okay, so how do you know when you are being asked to let go of a person or a relationship, so to speak, or how do you know that you're being told or asked to let go of something that is no longer serving you? Maybe it's a bad habit, or maybe it's a loop that you find yourself in. How are you able to identify what those things are, and what the level of letting go should look like?
Okay. And originally, when we started this conversation, that we just had to abruptly stop,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes.
I was saying that everybody is deserving of an opportunity to, uh, we owe each other, family, friends, we owe them the opportunity to make right of what is being done in the relationship. And I guess that was kind of off the topic
Mm-hmm.
of kind of where you wanted to take it. So,
I mean, we're just gonna, we're gonna be candid. It's, we nothing. We don't have anything scripted. We don't even have our bullet points today. But when we were discussing this yesterday, I was just like, okay, this is a good topic because
right.
I've spoken on this specific topic with other people, and so it was just rather befitting that we would have an opportunity to take advantage of actually filming, as well
Mhm.
as touching on a topic that we just happen to be talking about. And so,
Okay. Well, yeah, like I was saying, that was how the conversation was starting. And then you kind of went back and was stating, like, nah, this is how the question should look. So after I had a day and a half to kind of reflect on that
mm-hmm.
question, um, for me, letting go, I have two ways of identifying.
Well, let's go back a little further than that, just
Okay.
to give a little preface to viewers. Okay, so when we were talking yesterday, what I had asked him was, and it's not just in our relationship, because one thing that tends to happen is that you personalize it, but not using our relationship as an example, but there are relationships within your life where you have to, let go of it. You have to let go. It could be, your parents. It could be your siblings. It could be your, whomever, co-workers,
Co-workers,
whoever. It could be.
anybody in your life that is kind of shifting your energy and you understand that, and well, not understand it, but you recognize it,
Yeah.
and it's not the energy and the vibe that you want to have. So identifying, I think that's where we should start.
Right.
How do you identify that?
Well, yeah. So if you're around, someone, someplace, something, and you feel like your energy is off-putting, if you feel as though you're drained after interaction with them, if you see that there's really no alignment when the two of you, thrice of you, whomever, when the group of you come together, that it's
When you
just
notice that you
off-putting.
when you notice that you're not feeling how you would want to feel,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
okay,
And so,
to simplify it.
yeah, to some, yeah, when you're not feeling yourself, and why are you not feeling yourself? Are you feeling as though you're having to perform in order to be in the relationship? Do you feel as if you cannot sit in your authenticity? Then that is not a good space to be in, because who wants to be in a relationship where you got to be fake? You can't be yourself.
Or an environment that you can't be yourself as
Correct.
well.
And you also have to identify that, everything that's acceptable, you know, the, it may be acceptable by others, but it may, be a deal breaker for you, and to be okay with
The decision
the
that's made.
decision, yeah, that you make, kind of, staying 10 toes down, like they say, in making that
Okay.
decision where it may not be, the cool thing to do, or the status quo. You have to be able to do what is going to be best for you. And where we see, like, since they were saying, like he was saying, that everybody is owed an opportunity to, I guess, redeem themselves,
I didn't
for
say
lack of.
everybody. I say family,
Well, okay,
friends.
to
Yeah,
me,
family and friends, not everybody.
well, right, to a
Yeah.
certain extent, because even, fam. Okay, so he was saying family and friends. This is kind of where we kind of disagreed, because he was saying that, okay, well, if it's your family, if it's, your close friends, just depending on the relationship, then you owe that relationship an opportunity for redemption.
Right.
And I understand that to a certain extent, because
Okay.
sometimes there has to be
Okay. Go
a,
ahead and get
a,
your
a breaking
because
point.
off. Get
Yeah,
your
it's just
because
like,
off
okay,
your
we're not gonna keep
chest.
doing this, horse and pony show. It's just like, no, you don't have to let me off the ride, because I don't want to continue to do the same things over and over again to expect something else to happen. And the person has already shown you who they are.
Right.
And one thing that I have learned is, like, when somebody shows you who they are, believe them, because it's not, you only gonna have your representative out there for so long. That's when you meet somebody in a relationship, or whatever. Everybody has their representative, but when you really get into the thick of it, with a person or in a relationship, that's when you really see a person's true colors. And when they show you who they are, believe them, especially if they're not the type of person that's going to come back after they've self-reflected and see, what, I went too far, I did too much, I shouldn't have done this,
But
you
babe,
know.
you're talking about that's the last thing of it. That's how you would treat that person once you've given them that
Right.
opportunity to make those adjustments. So you
That's why.
owe family and friends that
Why do you
opportunity
owe them that?
because it's family and friends.
And you owe them that
Yeah, you
because.
owe them. You owe that relationship that opportunity. You don't want to just depending on the scale
Right.
of what
Okay.
happened. I
Yeah.
guess that's what you're trying
Correct.
to say.
Like, if
Yeah,
it's
the
something
scale.
egregious, then
Okay,
it's like, nah, we're probably not gonna come back from that.
yeah, yeah.
But I am a firm
What
believer
rate the
that,
scale or give
on
an
a scale, it
example?
just, you have to rate. It's to each, to each his own.
Yeah,
I can't say
some people might.
what would
Yeah,
be a
that's
deal
true.
breaker for you versus what would be a deal breaker for me. Yeah, I am a very forgiving person. I am the type of person that will, definitely turn the
I
other
can say
cheek.
that you are a forgiver.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
you
But
are.
I ain't a killer, but don't push me. Like Tupac says, it's just
Right.
like only
You
so
ain't gonna
much.
bust a grape.
Well, I mean, hopefully it don't ever have to come to that. But no, but seriously, it's just like, nah. But
Okay,
there
so
gets to a point where enough is enough, and this is the whole, you know, um, the grand scheme of things when we're
mm,
talking about letting go?
All
When
right.
is the right time
Okay.
to let go? When does it not matter who the person is or what the relationship represents? Do you get to the point when it's like, okay, you know what? I'm letting go of this, or I'm letting go of the behaviors that make me feel like this. I'm letting go of the situations that make me feel like this. I'm letting go of the, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When do you determine that, okay, no, I need to let go of the relationship versus no, I just need to let go of some of the habits that, I may have formed or things that I have done.
Right. And in certain relationships, you might change certain things to make that relationship work.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Then you're gonna have it at a situation to where it's just like you're totally cutting people off. So what I was saying was that you owe family and friends that opportunity to make it right. But for me, when I identify that I am completely changing who I am, then it's like, okay, I bring it up.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And then from there, um, damn, it's water falling.
Yeah,
It's
it's
about
called
to rain.
rain.
Yeah.
Yes,
And
it's starting to drizzle.
when I've given that individual or that group, however things happen, I've given them that opportunity to make the change. We've talked about it, and they just don't. I just that's for me. It's like, okay, well, no, I'm not gonna keep, what I'm saying, getting the short end of the stick.
Yeah.
And I'm the one that's feeling bad, and you over here feeling good. So at that point, when they don't want to make that change or unwilling to make certain steps to change, then it's like I'm cool with cutting ties.
Right. And then
And for you,
well, toxic behaviors definitely something that are definitely a deal breaker for me. Everybody has their own deal breakers. Yeah, you keep putting
yeah, well, I got to keep reaching over.
well, I'll pass it to you.
Okay,
Toxic behaviors, and you are going to identify toxic behaviors to be whatever
you want them
you
to be.
deem, yeah, to
Mm,
be categorized as such. But if I'm in an environment where I've given you opportunities, I've had conversations, because that's another thing I'm going to talk about it. Like, I'm not something is not going to happen to me, and we're gonna act like it just didn't ever happen. It will be addressed.
right.
I'm going to come to the source. I'm not gonna talk to your cousin. I'm not gonna talk to your wife, husband, whomever. I'm not gonna go to them. I'm going straight to the source,
Mm-hmm.
and we're gonna have a conversation. And based on the conversation, if there is no change in the behavior, or you feel like you're right and just, then we just have to agree to disagree, and then that's when boundaries are then put in place. And it's not that I
Damn.
don't love you, it's not that I don't care anything about you. It's just like it's just like you're no longer serving, or we're no longer in alignment with who I'm becoming or what it is that I'm trying to do. So it's like, okay, well, we just have to coexist when we coexist. But that's just pretty much as far as that's going to go, because you're not trying to change the behavior. If I'm telling you this is what it's making me feel like, and
You ain't trying to make no
yeah,
change
you're not
about
making no
that, then
adjustment or trying to get an understanding of why it's making me feel like that, then it's like, well, we just have to agree to disagree.
or you just or you just feel like the way you do shit is the right way. And despite how it make me feel,
Mm-hmm.
you still feel like the way you doing it is the right way. It's like, nah, you can't operate with a person like that.
Well, yeah, with
Because
a person with
yeah, because
their
they don't care about
ego,
you. They
right?
selfish.
Yeah, their ego. If you can't let your pride aside. Another thing is, I believe I apologize if I'm, well, okay, I don't know. Well, my husband says something different. He says that I don't apologize as often as he would like. But I definitely, and I'll work on that, but I
Mm-hmm.
definitely will admit that I do acknowledge when I am wrong. Now, it may not follow an apology, apology may not follow, which I don't necessarily agree with that. I feel like I'm pretty apologetic. But
Okay, yeah, you would.
well, you said no yesterday, so I'm just trying to, if that's something I need to work on, I will be
Yeah.
more, cognizant of that and make sure
Okay.
that I apologize.
There we go.
But definitely, I self reflect, and I will say, you know what you said was right, or I should have done it that way. Yeah, you had a better idea. I will do that. It doesn't happen often, but when it does, I make sure that I acknowledge that.
Okay.
Okay, and then that's a part of, um,
Is that the identifying?
well, yeah, because if you're telling me that there's something that you don't want me to do, and I don't want you to let go of the relationship, I don't want to, our relationship to falter, especially if it's something that can be adjusted.
Repair.
Yeah, it's something that can
Hmm.
be repaired. I
Or a
definitely
simple
don't want to.
adjustment. But
Yeah,
that's where those egos come into play,
right.
because people have to really look at themselves and
Hmm.
see how they're doing things. So we talked about how we would identify those situations to look like where you're not feeling yourself and you see that you're becoming the small person in the room, or you're always feeling a certain way after these encounters with certain individuals. So you identify how you're feeling. So how do those conversations look? So because you mentioned earlier, you got to go to the source. So when you're taking it to the source, how should those conversations be? And for me, I most definitely feel like the only way to start that conversation is, what I'm saying, bringing the right energy. You have to be strategic with your questioning
Grounded,
and not kind of alluding to too many things. Keep it on the point and get
direct.
straight to it. So what is your thoughts on that approach and how that conversation should start?
Well, yeah, you definitely should not approach anybody on the attack. Even if you are upset about it, and maybe if you are, depending on the severity of how you feel or how upset you are, then you maybe should pause. Take a moment or a day or however long to reflect, ground yourself, and then have the conversation because you don't want to approach the situation in anger.
Mhm.
And I tend you feel more angry the closer that you are to the person because it's just like, damn, it's just like this is a person I really really care about that's making me feel this way.
And they
And
don't see that. They
yeah,
don't
they don't. Yeah,
understand
it's like
that.
you don't get it. It's like you get not able to recognize this right off the bat. Well, sometimes no, because we are, it's the wind is blowing. We are all our
Creatures of habit.
yeah, and we are our own, individuals. So um, that's why it's necessary to have the conversation so that you can possibly salvage the relationship and change the behavior, and salvage the relationship. But again, there are points where, and that's when you're letting go of the habit. Okay, I'm going to address this. This is, something that I need, or this is something that I'm feeling.
Hmm.
And, this is when if you're in a relationship with the person or having a conversation with the person who is willing to make the adjustment, then that is just letting go of the habit that is happening or the loop that you're in versus, okay, I'm just going to walk away completely from the relationship where there are times that you may have to do that, you know, regardless of who the person is and what they represent. Sometimes it causes more harm than good to be in the relationship. And so you do have to let it go because that relationship itself no longer serves you.
All
And
right.
that's the hard part.
Okay. So approach to that conversation and to that situation has to be correct, right? It has
Yeah.
to be done the right way.
Yes. Probably a bit more delicate.
Should you be in a group setting? Should it
A
just be
group
one
setting,
on
yeah, it
one?
should definitely be one on one.
Okay, okay. Well, some people are bringing it out in front of the
Well,
group,
yeah, that's probably not delicate to
but
handle
I
it
also
that
feel
way.
like that's when you don't let emotions get too intertwined into the situation. You just
Hmm.
kind of start speaking, erratically in front of groups and all of that. Nah, don't do that, because that's just gonna make the other person feel threatened, and then you're just not gonna get to the point. And we had to learn that when we had certain conversations that we would have with people or with ourselves. That it's like, nah, that approach gotta be right, gotta be right. So, what's another aspect of that you feel like we should touch on? We talked about identifying. We're talking about as far as the approach to having that one-on-one conversation, one-on-one, right?
Hmm.
What other aspect of that should do you want to add in there?
Well, I mean, I guess you would just say when you're letting go and you are.
Would you say start to set boundaries at that point because you've identified the problem,
Mhm.
how you're feeling, you've made that conversation, so you're giving the individual the opportunity to make that change. So
Mhm.
you got to have some boundaries, because
Oh, for
some
sure,
people may
boundaries. Yeah.
may change immediately. Some people it may take over time. So I feel like you should start setting boundaries. It's like, yeah, this motherfucker got a month.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? They got
Mhm.
a month. If
Mhm.
anything happened within that month that we've already
Yeah, we didn't
discussed,
already talked
it's
about it.
like, hey, man, what's going on? Now the conversation is gonna be different. Like
Right.
we talked about this. Like, what's going on?
Mhm. Yeah.
So set your boundaries. Set boundaries to what you want to work in.
And this is okay. And then when we talking about setting boundaries, so glad you referenced that because I didn't even think to bring that into the forefront. But boundaries are very important to all relationships because everybody should have boundaries. It's like, okay, this is what I need in order to operate as my highest self, the best self. If you want me in the best capacity I could be, there has to be boundaries. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And there has to be respect for those boundaries.
But the boundaries are basically setting the standards, setting the expectation. It's like if we talk about this from work, like if you don't set the expectation, then people are pretty much able to work in the space that they create.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So if you don't set those expectations, those boundaries, people are not going to know how to work.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't do that, it's not going to be structured, is what I'm saying.
Correct.
Right. So got to do that. But I know you have a little more to speak on, as far as when it comes to boundaries, what they should look like, and
Yeah,
um,
because then you again, that's something that you have to stay aligned to. You have to stay firm in, because if you start swaying with your boundaries, then you're not gonna take it seriously, and so it's going to continue to the very thing that you're trying to stop is going to continue because now they know, okay, well, he or she is not serious about this. So I don't really have to make this change. I only have to do it long enough so I can stop, hearing what it is they have to say about it, and I can just get, right back to
back
what
to
it
my
is that
normalcy.
I'm used to doing. Yeah, and that's what you're trying to prevent. So you have to have that consistency there. You have to have, boundaries, but they need to be reasonable. Also dependent on the relationship in which you are putting the boundaries in. But again, all relationships need boundaries.
Yeah.
It can be with your children, it can be with your spouse, it can be, at work. There
Mm-hmm.
need to be boundaries because okay, it's just a respect factor and it's a
Structures,
a
adding structure
structure.
to the environments that you're in. Guys, it's getting real windy out here. So we
Okay,
want to touch on that. We
yeah,
want to
you
touch
want to
on the
go under the
boundaries.
awning
Well, not.
or huh? Oh, we
No,
just
we
gonna keep
good.
on
Yeah,
and be soaking wet. Okay.
I'm just letting them
Um,
know.
yeah, I'm like,
So the
yes.
boundaries are very, very important. Set those according to your liking, and don't deviate from that.
Mm-hmm.
Don't deviate from that. So now that you have identified, communicated, set boundaries, now you're gonna have to allow those individuals that time, that space to make those changes. And by setting those boundaries and expectation, it gives you an opportunity to relax and be yourself in
Realign.
be in that space. And but don't put your hands down, right?
Yeah. Right.
Protect yourself at all times.
Right.
So be on the mindful. You know your expectations, and if you see them, you know, I guess like y'all be saying, clock it or whatever the case may be.
Clock
But
it.
go ahead and put that information to the side. Because you might have to have another conversation with that individual about
Mm-hmm.
that. Like,
And
hey,
this is the part where he said, well, you owe this person, you owe this person. Now, how many times do I
yeah,
owe you the space to fuck over me?
yeah.
How many times do I owe you that?
You say fuck over me.
Well, yeah, that's it. Like if I
Well, you
put
don't get
boundaries
too
in
many
place,
opportunities.
yeah,
I
it's just
say
like
one
you
time,
ain't gonna,
one time.
yeah,
You get one time to
uh
fuck
huh,
over.
yeah.
Right.
And it depends on the level of the fuck up,
Uh-huh.
because we are all human. We are, all fall short
Like
of grace. from time to
Nobody's
time.
perfect, but
Nobody is perfect, but it's like you're not
when you
gonna
say
just
a fuck up is like that's shit that
I said
just
fuck over.
fuck up. Ooh.
Yeah.
And that's too. That's what I'm saying. Like stealing money. Well, let's not put let
Yeah, let's
people. Yeah,
yeah.
let
Yeah, we're
people.
not even gonna
Yeah, let
go down
people
that
do their
rabbit hole.
own categories.
Right. So
But to answer your question, I say once a fuck over. You fuck over me once, that's yeah. So kind of like
again, it's gonna be who it is and what the fuck up is. There are a lot of different variables, but and that's when the owe part comes into place.
so
Because to me, I don't feel like you owe anybody anything. If you do that, that's just out the kindness of your heart. That's just who you are. But no, you don't
so
owe.
nobody, not your mama,
What you
not your
mean owe?
daddy,
Why do I owe you that?
your mama and daddy, like your
I'm not saying
sibling.
that you don't. Okay, you said I don't know. To me, it's owe. It's
That
like
word
okay, you
"oh"
did
is
something for me, so now I owe you. No, I don't
no,
owe you
no.
that.
When I
No, I
say
do that
"oh,"
because of
but
how I
you owe
feel
that
about you.
because that is a family. That's family. Like you know what I'm saying. You get this opportunity to uh, make a correction. Yeah, I owe you that. You know, I owe you that. Damn. Holy.
So
It's
your
rain.
cousin that you just because they're your cousin, just because they're your first cousin once removed, or however they say that, just because this person is your whatever, you owe them that just
Yeah.
because.
Yeah. That's how I
Okay,
feel. That's just
all
how I
right.
feel.
No, I
And
feel like that it's like I'm obligated to do that. I'm not obligated. If I do that, that is because I've chosen. I made the choice to forgive, to um, allow you that opportunity to correct the wrong or whatever. But I don't owe it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I
okay.
guess. I guess.
In my sense, that's what I feel. I guess you can use a different word. You know what I'm saying? To describe that, but yeah, family members and friends, you know, they get a pass
Okay.
on making a situation right and so forth. So I don't know,
So
babe.
okay.
What else we need to touch on?
Yeah, that rain starting to hit
Yeah, what
now.
we need to touch on.
Well, we'll just do a continuation of this once we get into a better space because there are some things that I want to touch on. But I did want to take this opportunity to make an episode 4 so that we can build
Get
our
back to
consist. Yeah, so
it. Get
we
back
can
to
start
it.
doing what we need to be accountable to doing. So remember that God loves you always, in all ways. We love you too. Enjoy your holiday with your family and your friends or whomever you celebrate this holiday season with. And we will talk to you soon.
Oh, umbrella about to come loose. All right, guys, holla back.
I stopped.